And I could say this because anybody that knows me knows that I'm probably the worst.
One of them, yeah.
The worst normal face guy ever. Like, it is a real struggle for me to like maintain normal face.
It's funny because I mean, yes, it is not a strength of yours, but you are better now because, man, back in the day, it was just like, I would be looking at you going, oh, this is going to be fun.
My face is getting red.
Just turning red, just clenching your teeth. I'd be like, oh, Jack, Lave's getting spun up. This ought to be good. I'd be thinking, like, please don't say anything until the boss leaves or whatever. I'll handle it, dude. You don't have to say anything. And, yeah, that would be good.
But what I was going to say is this is a great example of discipline equals freedom, right? And your kids, well, I've known them since they all were super little and watched them growing up, and you have help them, train them in that, like help. You're practicing that, and it's something that you got to practice. It's something you can get better with reps. Even if you're not naturally good at it, like me, you can definitely get better with reps. And so I've improved. I got a long way to go still, but I think you got to be thinking about it all the time. And that's we've talked about it on the podcast years ago when I was here. Like the chaos at home. I got young kids at home. That's a great example to like accept that as like okay, I'm not going to spin up. This is a good chance to practice normal face right now. When I'm upset or I'm frustrated, we're not getting out the door for the road trip or whatever it is that I get spun up about all the time. And if you accept that as like a training opportunity, then when you actually need to use normal face, you will actually be much better at doing it.
Bro, you mentioned like training and the kids and stuff. The whole reason it's called normal face is because it's an actual game that this kids, guy played whatever with the kids. It's like the wrapping paper, the cardboard left over from the wrapping paper, the tube.
I've witnessed the normal face.
You don't have to explain.
Oh, damn, okay.
But all right. I did it too. We had a guy that showed up in Ramadi, a new guy, who's a great dude, but he showed up and he's a happy guy. Yeah. And he would smile all the time, right? We're talking private pile, And so I'd look at him and go, hey, you can't be walking around like smiling like that. You're a freaking team guy. You need to represent. We are task unit bruiser, not task unit freaking smiley. So I played normal face with that guy. You know who I'm talking about?
I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So. And it was so funny because, I was laughing so hard because he could not even come close to not smiling. And the more I did it and the harder I hit him, the harder I was laughing, he was laughing. It was pretty funny.
One normal face game I'm thinking about was your oldest daughter when she was probably 7 maybe, and we were at your house and on the pull-up bar in the garage. Do you remember that?
No.
And you're like, get up there and show Leif how many pull-ups you can do. So she gets up, she cranks out some pull-ups, like awesome. And then maybe she wasn't even 7 because she was way off the ground. You like lifted her up there to get there on the full-size pull-up bar.
Freaking
so she's like 4 feet off the ground, and you're like, I will not catch you. As she's hanging on the bar, like, I will not catch you. She's like, Dad. You're like, and meanwhile, your hands are like right there ready to catch her. Yeah, but she can't see him. And I was just like, but you know what? She actually was like, you could see initially she was like, Dad. And then she was like, she just went like normal face. And I was like, and then she dropped off. You caught her. It was like,
yeah. Well, you also have to train your kids to deal with just unknown terror. Falling, breaking broken bones. Oh, sorry, kids. That's the way it goes.
She turned out all right. So
good. Great. She's outstanding. Yeah. It's a learning process. You learn about controlling your emotions. Life. I've learned a lot about parenting.
I feel like with the kids practicing or taking opportunities to practice normal face 100% of the time is a good method.
It's a good method. And it is a great thing, like no joke, it is a great thing for a leader to be able to control your emotions, because your emotions, we already talked about this. If I'm panicking, if Leif reports to me some news and I panic, he's going to panic. Everyone's going to panic. It's going to be mayhem. Yeah. If he sees me go, all right, got it. It's like, okay. I've had, like at the muster, the musters, there's timelines and you got to be at a certain place at a certain time, and I've had Jamie come up to me, the so-and-so, we don't have any of that stuff yet. It's like, okay, And you can see that she's kind of panicked about it. We don't have the labels for the whatever to pass out stuff. And I go, okay, well, we'll pass them out tomorrow. And she's like, okay, just like, it's all good.
But that's an awesome thing, man. And that's powerful. I mean, you and I were just talking about this today, right? With some with Echelon Front stuff and our strategic growth and things that I was really spinning up about and really stressing on. You're like, it's not that big of a deal, and that's something that is that perspective. When someone's immersed, when someone is immersed in the details of things, and they're like, it's the weight's bearing down on them. We're like, man, this isn't going to happen. It's really easy to get stressed out about that. So it's a powerful thing, man.
Yeah, that also falls into some implied intent, right, of me. And leaving you with the impression that something needs to be perfect because, well, me, like, hey, I like things to be squared away. And then all of a sudden you got something that's not squared away and you start trying to fix this problem and you're investing more than it's worth into the problem. And it's because I am giving you the wrong implied intent that, hey, you know what? If it's that much investment, I don't want you to make that much investment of time into something that's really not going to have a massive impact strategically. So, like, I got to do a better job of going, let me know if something's a struggle. Where have I done this before? Like, hey, if it's going to cost, this would be really cool to have. It'd be really cool if we executed this. But if we can't, don't worry about it. Don't invest more than X amount of hours. Hey, go look at it for 2 hours. If we can't do it, we won't do it. No factor. It'd be cool if we can, but let's not lose sleep over it. Whereas, it's like, once again, going back to Gettysburg, what I need to remember is if General Lee tells Stonewall Jackson to do something, he's going to freaking do it. And he doesn't care what price he has to pay to accomplish that mission. Well, if I mention to you, like, hey, this would be cool to have, and you're like, cool. And now all of a sudden you're paying the ultimate price to make something happen. And you look up, 3 weeks later and you've spent money and time and it's like, you're like, I got it done. Or maybe we can't execute what your vision was. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Don't worry about it. It's like, that's not a good normal phase. It's a little bit too much. So, yeah, it happens.
The final thing I'll say about normal phase is I love that my kids now have been influenced. I'll be like, we call it Jocko normal phase. So when you say,
we pretty much brand everything as Jocko around here, so we're good with that.
I say execute Jocko normal face, and they're like be smiling for a picture, and they're like, boom. It's on cue. It's awesome. My 1-year-old, not so much yet, but my 4-year-old and 6-year-old, they get some.
That's legit. All right. Back to the book. Chart number 4, evidence of morale. So we were on this whole thing talking about morale. And this is evidence of morale. In discussing the subject of morale with visitors, I often ask and am asked, what do you look for in a unit or in order to gauge the morale? Since morale is influenced by so many factors, there are naturally many indications of the state of morale. The things I note quickly in sizing up a unit include, I'm going to burn through some of these, saluting, dress, good housekeeping, pride, I'll go into that one a little bit. Are the men eager to show their accomplishments? Do they point to their unit's history with pride? Do they have something good to sell and try and sell it? Participating in charities, athletic program and supported teams. An athletic program enthusiastically supported is always a favorable indication of morale. Church attendance, soldiers' deposits and other savings. A man who saves his money each month is banking on his future. And is usually a well-adjusted and confident soldier. When there are many such soldiers in a unit, there is a depth of stability in the organization. But commanders should not attempt to coerce the men to participate in this program. Just for all leaders, really, this is probably one of the things when I look back at my military career that I did a pretty horrible job of, and that was that I never said, all right, guys, here's what you should do with your money. Here's some moves to make. Here's some things that you should do. Here's some things that you shouldn't do. So just if you're a leader, especially if you're a military leader, look, when you're a lot of kids that join the military, myself included, hey, when I got to the teams, and I was an E4 in the teams, I was the richest person in the world. And, you know, I got that paycheck every 2 weeks, and I was ready to rock and roll.
Making it rain.
Oh, it was great. And, you know, I really wish somebody along the way would have said, hey, man, that's cool. You know, you're going to make whatever, $5,000 this month. You know what? I know you like to get after it and go have a good time, and you should. And you should do that with $4,000, not with $4,999. So if you're in a position where you can help people plan their economic future, please do that.
You know what? It's funny that you're actually saying that, because you of all the people I worked with in 13 years in the Navy, like, you're the only one that did that. And maybe not on like a you didn't like have a presentation to the entire task unit. You know, maybe you could have done something like that. I
absolutely should have.
But you had a lot of direct interaction with a whole lot of people and helped direct them, and, you know, or influence or encourage them to do something, you know, go in the right direction.
Yeah, I think to your point, I think guys that were close to me, I would be like, hey, bro, what you need to do is this. And so that's cool. But, you know, I should have been doing it for everybody, and I didn't. And the reason is I didn't really care about that stuff, honestly. I didn't really think about it. I didn't really think about that. I just thought about, hey, we just want to be good frogmen and a good task unit and a good platoon. You know, like, that's it. That's what we're here for. So I should have been thinking a little bit deeper about that. But if you're in that position, do it. Enlistment and re-enlistment records, AWOL. When such offenses are reasonably easy to commit and the number of offenses is low, it is indicative of high morale. Size of sick call, court-martial rates, incidents and accidents, complaints about the inspector general. This is another classic thing, right? So complaints to the inspector general. Oh, sorry, this is complaints to the inspector general. Later in the book, Leif, he talks about how you should be open and ready to being inspected. Like, everyone hates inspections and doesn't want the commander to come down, and he says you should be waiting for that. And it's very similar to our attitude in Ramadi, which I absolutely stole from the XO of the 1st to the 506th. Or sorry, the XO of the 1st to 5, or the ops officer from the 1st to 506th, who, as soon as we got there was an investigation happening, and I was like, yeah, what do you get investigated for? And he goes, oh, this, that, and the other thing, or this thing. And I said, oh, how's that going to work out? And he goes, I love it when we get inspected. He goes, I want them to come and inspect and see what we're doing and see what it's like down here and see what it's like to live down here and let them understand what's going on the front lines. And I absolutely adopted that policy. And what's cool is what he says in this book is, you know, why are you afraid of being inspected? You shouldn't have nothing to hide. So if you're afraid of being inspected, that's a problem. And let's fix the thing so that you can be open to being inspected.
You know, we talked about that in Extreme Ownership, right? Leading up the chain of command, and how we invited our commander to come down and see what we're doing, and invite our operations officer and their staff to be there. But it's a complete opposite, though, of what everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else's mindset was like, get the boss man away. We don't want him around here. We want to be able to. And what they wanted to be able to get away with was like really minuscule stuff, right? Like uniforms around the camp, like attendance at meetings, little things that don't really matter. And yet what we gained by having them come out and visit us was a deep understanding of our mission, how we were mitigating risk, what resources we needed. I mean, it's a no-brainer, and yet nobody does that because they don't want the scrutiny of the big boss man.
The wrong attitude. Next section, outside influence on morale. The factors and indications of morale covered so far concern things generally within the control of the commander, but there are influences on the morale of the soldiers, especially those on duty in a far-off land, which stem from attitudes of officials, the press, radio commentators, and public at home. The soldier should feel that he is needed and that his sacrifices are of immediate and long-range benefit to his country, his home, his family, and himself. He should feel that his unit is as important to him as his family, that he is just as important to the unit. He will feel that importance as long as the people at home feel it. He is sensitive to public opinion at home, and because of good radio, newspaper, and mail facilities, is in constant